If you've been working on your tax forms, then you've probably checked to find information about your health insurance. To explain the requirement and the importance of filing is our guest from Healthcare for All, the Senior Consumer Education and Enrollment Manager, Kate Segel. Thank you very much, Kate, for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
Well, talk about the people you're trying to reach, because for some people this has become part of the annual ritual of doing the taxes, but for other people this is a source of confusion maybe.
It's really confusing. This is the first year that many folks that have received help paying for their health insurance through the Health Connector will need to file taxes. Even if they might have never had to file in the past, they do need to file this year.
And that means regardless how little money they made?
Right. So even if they're not under an obligation because their income is so low to file taxes, if they got those tax credits to help them to pay for health insurance through the Health Connector, they still do have to file. And if they don't, they won't be able to get help paying for health insurance in the future until they do file.
And I guess if you don't file one of these forms, at least the information from these forms about your coverage, the government might think you're not doing what you're required to do as far as getting coverage, and it could be a financial penalty maybe.
Right. So there's also now a federal and state requirement that all adults and kids have health insurance coverage throughout the year. And so if you don't provide that information on your tax form, or you didn't have health insurance and you don't file, you could be penalized, and those penalties will increase every year.
Well, there are some people, they have it easy. They might have family coverage sponsored by their employer. They get one letter a year. It's very quick, very clear. But for other people, there could be complications. There could be people who switch plans, or maybe they lose coverage for a while. What do they do?
Right. So the good news is that insurance companies are required to send you forms if you were enrolled in their healthcare coverage for even one day of the year. And so you will get these forms in the mail. You should have already received them. And if you haven't, you should contact your health insurer as soon as possible. If you need to correct or make a correction on those forms, you can also do that by contacting your health insurer. But in order to file your taxes, you do need to have all of those forms showing that you were covered.
And of course, one of the other things here is that people have more than one form. You look at the tax form, there's one line. So, which form do I use here? I mean, some people are going to need help with that.
Absolutely. And the good news is that there are sites throughout Boston that provide free in-person tax assistance to people. And you can call 617-635-4500 to get help. And again, there are income limits for that help, so give them a call to see if you meet the guidelines.
Of course, one of the other reasons to make sure the forms are filled is that if you have the right amount of income, depending on your family dependence, you can get a lot of money from the federal government.
Absolutely. So you could end up getting a refund if you were entitled to more tax help or more tax credits that you didn't claim. Also, if you got a refund when you file for having dependents, it would be offset by any penalties that you incurred because you got tax penalties for not having coverage.
What about the limited time here? Because the taxes are due April 18th. Can people actually get someone to straighten these things out before then?
Yeah. So actually, this year we have a special extension to April 19th because of Emancipation Day and Patriots Day falling on Sunday and Monday, and so you actually have until next Tuesday, or the next Tuesday, April 19th, to file your taxes this year.
Now, the other thing here is that, we have to file state as well as federal. So what about that?
Yeah, so you do need to file both your state and your federal taxes, but the federal taxes are the most important for those tax credits. So you need to make sure that you don't just file state, that you do file federal in addition to the state return.
Right, and one more time, if people want to get more help with those forms and set up some time maybe?
Yeah, absolutely. So folks can call the Boston Tax Help Coalition at 617-635-4500.
Thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you.
Kate Segel from Healthcare for All. Up ahead, the arts segment with Chris Harding.